I pulled into Creelitch, Ohio, under a gray sky that matched my mood, my old truck rattling to a stop on the empty main street. I'd left my mess of a life behind, bad debts, worse choices, and this small town seemed like a place to disappear. But as I stepped out, I felt eyes on me from behind curtained windows. The air was still, too still, like the whole place was holding its breath. I needed work, fast, so I headed to the only spot with lights on, the Thirsty Deer, a worn-down bar at the edge of town. I pushed through the door, the bell jingling softly. The room was dim, with wooden tables and a few locals nursing drinks. No one looked up, but I swear the air shifted, like they'd all noticed me at once. Behind the bar stood Ara, a tall guy with rough hands and a steady gaze. "Looking for work?" he asked before I could speak, like he'd been expecting me. I nodded and he hired me on the spot. No questions, just a nod toward the back. "Start tonight. Follow what I say, and you'll be fine." That first shift, Ara showed me the ropes, but nothing felt normal. He handed me a faded list of rules, scribbled on yellow paper. "These keep things running smooth," he said, his voice low. The rules were weird. Pour beers in a circle pattern, never clockwise. Mark the bar's edges with salt every hour. Don't stare at reflections in the glasses. I thought it was some small-town quirk. Maybe a joke. But Ara's face was dead serious. As the night went on, he explained bits and pieces while we served. The patrons weren't just drinkers, they were part of something older. A group tied to the town since way back. "We guard what's below," he whispered, glancing at the cellar door behind the bar. I didn't get it at first. The bar filled up slowly, folks coming in with quiet nods. Ara showed me how to pour, 3 pulls on the tap, then a swirl that formed a perfect ring in the foam. "It seals the deal," he said. One guy at the end of the bar watched me close, his eyes narrow. When I messed up the pour once, went the wrong way, the glass fogged up strange, like a face pressing from inside. The patron slid it back without a word, and Ara pulled me aside. "Do it right or things slip," he said. I felt a chill then, like the room got colder, and I noticed how everyone sat in certain spots, like they were forming a pattern around the bar. As midnight hit, Ara led me to the back for what he called a check. We sprinkled salt along the floorboards, tracing lines that connected to the cellar. "Boundaries," he explained. "They hold it in." I asked what it was, and he paused, unlocking the cellar door. Down there, in the damp dark, sat an old wooden box on a stone pedestal. It looked plain, but when I got close, my skin crawled, like it was alive, humming faintly. Ara said it was an artifact brought here centuries ago by the town's founders. It kept Creel safe, brought good crops and kept disasters away, but only if the pact was kept. The society, the patrons, him, now me, we were its keepers. Break the rules, and its power twisted, letting chaos out. Back upstairs, the night got tense. Ara taught me signals. A tap on the bar meant watch the door. 2 fingers down signaled a test. One patron, an old woman, leaned in and asked me a riddle about shadows and light. I stumbled, but Ara whispered the answer from behind. "Good," she said, but her reflection in her glass warped, her smile stretching too wide. I turned away quick, remembering the rule. These tests, Ara said, weeded out threats, outsiders who might steal the artifact or break the pact. If I failed, it wasn't just me in danger. The whole town could suffer. Storms, sickness, things falling apart. The hours dragged, but the dread built slow. Around 2 a.m., A stranger walked in, not from around here. The room went quiet. Ara nodded at me and I poured his beer careful in the pattern. But the guy laughed it off, spilling salt from the boundary line. The lights flickered and I felt a pull, like the air was sucking toward the cellar. Whispers started not from people but from the walls. Faint voices begging to get out. The patrons stood, forming a circle, and Ara grabbed my arm. "Fix it," he hissed. I redrew the salt line quick, my hands shaking, and the whispers faded. The stranger left pale, muttering about bad vibes. Ara clapped my shoulder. "You see now? The artifact feeds on order. Mess up and it grows hungry, pulls the town under." I wanted to run, but where? My past was chasing me, and Creel felt like it had already claimed me. Ara shared more as we cleaned up. The society had rules for everything, nightly rituals to calm the artifact, signals to pass warnings. Distorted reflections weren't hallucinations, they were warnings. The artifact testing our watch. One night years back, a keeper broke the pact, tried to take the box. The town flooded that week. Lives lost. "We're bound," Ara said. "It gives, but it takes." By dawn, the bar emptied and Ara sat me down. "I'm tired, Leo. Been doing this too long." He pushed the list toward me. "It's yours now." I stared at the cellar door, feeling that hum in my bones. The artifact wasn't a monster, it was worse. A curse we chose to keep the world out. If I left, who'd hold it? The town would crumble, and my chaos would follow me anyway. So I nodded, taking the keys. Ara walked out into the morning light, free at last. Now, every night, I pour the beers in circles, mark the salt lines, watch the reflections for twists. The patrons nod, knowing I'm one of them. The dread never fades. It's part of me, a trade for the quiet life I craved. But sometimes when the whispers start, I wonder if the artifact's power is growing, pulling me deeper into Creel's dark heart. I follow the rules, keep the pact, because failure means losing everything. Not just for me, but for all of us tied to this cursed gift.